like hair straight up on top of your head back in the old days. That my kids would consider me like way old, even though I'm not really that old. But we're bringing it back today. We're going way back. We're going old school. And the question is, who were you as a child? And why did you stop being that person? So I had a wonderful hour meditation. You guys, today is Monday, the 18th. I am glad you're here. I'm glad you're clicking on. And I'm glad if you're watching on the replay. You guys definitely message below and tell me you're here. I get notified if you're watching the replay. Thanks for joining. So we're talking about childhood. I did an hour meditation this morning, and it was really interesting. It was really interesting. We kind of went back to my childhood, and then I was a little, 3 minutes late jumping on here because they wanted me to get some pictures. I'm like, well, I guess we're just going to go all in it. So we're just going to jump right in, and we're just going all the way back to the beginning. We have been in quarantine for a few months. We're slowly kind of coming out of it. Couple cities in phase 1, couple people in some people are still locked down, all my California peeps. So this has been a very enlightening time. I hope that everybody has used this time to kind of dig deep within their soul, dig deep within who they are. And so we're going to talk about a little bit of what I've been doing and a little bit of who I was as a child. And I hope this resonates and gets you kind of thinking and pondering who you were as a child and the hopes and the dreams and the magic that you had when you were a child that maybe you've lost along the way that you find again. So that's what we're going to talk about today. And I'm excited that you guys are here. So let's jump in. So as some of you guys know, I was diagnosed with a heart defect at 2 years old. I was the first case in New Mexico, and they told my parents I wouldn't live to see my teenage years. So this was me before I got diagnosed. That was me as a little kid. That's the first quick picture I could find. So that was me. And probably not long after this picture is taken is when my parents had found out that they told my parents to enjoy every moment they had with me because they didn't know how long I was going to live, because I had this rare condition and they didn't know where it came from and all the stuff. So when I was a little kid, I wanted to be a cardiologist because I knew what it was like. I knew the pain. I knew what it was like to get x-rays every 6 months and an echocardiogram every 6 months, and not being able to play with the other kids because I was limited with PE and wanting to do things and I couldn't do it. And I was really sensitive as a kid. I'm a Cancer, and I'm a June baby, so I was always super sensitive, very intuitive. Woke up during my first time of life was when I realized I was here. I woke up during my surgery at 2 years old with doctors over me. That was my first memory of life. So I knew that I always wanted to be a doctor, and I wanted to help people heal their heart. Now I'm doing that in a little bit different fashion. So I am known as the Heart Girl because I help people heal their hearts in using all sorts of different ways. And this morning, a lot of people come to me and ask me what my life purpose is. They go, I want to know what my life purpose is. I want to know what my life purpose is. And I always had said the same thing, like, what's my life purpose? I know I help people, but what am I supposed to do? And I have all these gifts, and how do I help people? And they took me back from the beginning of showing me how I wanted to help people. And I've wanted to help people since I was a little kid. So at 16, I had a valve replacement. It was my choice because I was slowly dying. And I wanted a valve replacement. I was in cheerleading and I wanted to be like everybody else. So I had a valve replacement at 16. And it didn't go according to plan. The surgery was 12 hours. I was the first person in, last person out, and I died on the table. And it was pretty horrific, especially afterwards. And that's kind of when my life kind of changed, merged. This was me a day after the surgery, laying in the hospital bed. You can see how swollen I was. My grandma took that picture. It was the only picture anybody took of me in the hospital. He's changing the IV that was in my neck. I had multiple IVs everywhere. It was supposed to be a routine surgery that didn't turn out to be a routine surgery. And after that, when I was healing, I was in ICU for a week. I saw the cardiologist and I told him, I said, he's like, oh, you're fine, whatever. And, they break your sternum and to, go in your heart, in your heart and everything else and growing, and it was healing and growing back together, and it was in pain. And that's why I kind of have a hump in my back, because it was hard to like roll your shoulders back because it was painful. And I said, the cardiologist like, oh, you're fine. And I said, do you know what I'm experiencing? I said, have you ever had any of these procedures? He's like, no. I said, then you have no idea what I'm going through. You have no idea the pain that I'm going through. And I knew then, that's why I was like, I want to help people. I want to help people with this. My life kind of changed. I've had a lot of enlightening times. I've had a lot of pain in my life. I've had a lot of struggles. So that's where Spirit really showed me, is when we go back, when I told you I went back to my childhood, and they said, what do you want to do? What is your life purpose? What are you wanting to do? And I said, help people. The pain and the struggles that I've gone through have made me a really good teacher, because I understand. I understand what it's like to get cheated on. I understand what it's like to have physical trauma. I understand what it's like when your parents don't understand you. I know what it's like to have spiritual gifts and be completely different than everybody else. I understand when you don't fit in a box. I understand when you look around a room and you feel like you just don't fit in, and you don't hang out with the latest people or the latest styles, and you're not in the mom clique, or you're not in the popular group. I understand what all that means. And I understand what it's like to be a little unique. So I encourage you, we've got, a full new moon happening. We've got a lot of energies. We've got four planets that are going retrograde, and retrograde is all about looking in. I invite you this week to look at who that child inside of you, that inner child, is, and ask yourself, what was I excited about life? What was I wanting to do that I put in a box? And that I decided to try to fit in this world, when the truth is that I was never meant to fit in at all. So I encourage you to maybe go back to your old pictures, find the pictures that you were, and go into meditation and find that inner child and remember what you wanted to accomplish. And then I want you to look forward on the people you've met, the lessons you've learned, the heartbreaks you've had, because those were overcoming challenges in your life that have made you so incredibly strong and unique. Because they've taught you something. They're building blocks. And I want you to look at your life and say, how can I take my life and transform my lessons to help somebody else? This week is all about diving deep inside your heart and soul. unleashing that inner child, that inner play, and say, there's a lot of spunk here, there's a lot of fun. I've overcome a lot of obstacles, but here I'm lighting, showing, illuminating your path to help others. So remember who that child is. Ask yourself, what was I excited about? And it's time to bring that out. Even if you got to wear your hair a little crazy and do something kind of fun to remember who that is and let out that inner child play. Good morning, Lisa. You're going to have to watch this from the beginning if you just clicked on, because it's super exciting. We have a time during this quarantine to realize the way that we used to live our life isn't working, and we're transforming it into something better. And what's better is remembering who you've always been, that you have hidden to conform to the world. It's no longer about conforming to outside realities. It's about unleashing this inner child and who you are meant to be on a soul level and shine as soon as we step out of this new earth, this pandemic, into our true reality. Hashtag true reality. Unleashing our childhood play. So dive deep, take the courage, remember who you are, and it's time to shine. I love you. Thank you for being here. And I'll see you